It's obviously it's a much different week than is normal. I mean, the tragedy that's happened in Las Vegas has changed the feel of this game. I'm sure there's a lot of things that are going to be different at the game and on game time, and I have no idea what is going on in Vegas, especially with their football team or what the atmosphere is. But obviously, it's going to be different than we normally get ready for. I mean, if you wanted, their football team's a very talented football team that started out slow, but it's getting better and better as they go. They played well last week. I'm sure that they would love, though we're tied for first in the Western Division of our conference, so the winner of this game is one up on the other guy. So the game itself is important, but it's not near as important as the other things that are going on.
How do you keep your guys focused on, just because all the news they're going to see about that, and then going to Vegas, and I mean, how do you keep them focused on football and not the extracurricular things?
Well, I think that they have to be mature guys that can handle more than just one thing. I mean, there's going to be, I'm sure, I haven't heard yet, but I'm sure there's going to be some things done at the game or before the game that we'll be involved with or have, we'll be standing by and watching them memorialize the situation to those that died and that sort of thing. I'm sure we'll be part of that. So you have to prepare them for that's coming, and they got to be responsible enough and mature enough and old enough to realize the importance of the event. But we always try to keep everything routine, because if you keep things routine, usually the results stay the same, or you're more consistent on the football field. So obviously we're not going to change practice or meeting times or anything like that, or how we get ready for the game. We're going to get ready exactly the same way we always do.
And this is the team that lost to Howard. I mean, I know you don't want to talk about point spreads, but it's like the worst upset in college football history. They were 35-point. How do you keep Chris? Hey, this team is actually, they can beat us if we don't be on our game.
Well, I don't think you will look at one game and say that about anybody. I think they've played several games where they've played really, really well. And our guys are college football players, and we're a college football team, and there's upsets every single week. And there's people that win games that aren't supposed to, and there's people that lose games that aren't supposed to. That's the way of college football. So I don't think that's an issue.
You said you guys aren't counselors as coaches, and you guys have a lot of connections with Las Vegas. How do you address this with the team, and at what point do you kind of address it and then get into your routine?
Well, we're going to address it with the team as soon as we know what the plan is at the game. Obviously, all of them know what happened. I'm sure they have some feelings about it, especially I think we have 5 kids on our team that are from Las Vegas, and I'm sure they feel it deeper than the rest of them do. But we'll address it when we know exactly what's going to happen at the game and what we're required to be part of.
Has anyone with the Las Vegas coaching staff or university reached out to San Diego State as far as kind of what their ideas are, what they're planning to invite you to be involved with that process, or with any of your students you say who are from Vegas wanting to be part of the pregame, what's going to happen?
Our administration is working with their administration on how the game is going to go, but we're letting them take the lead. Obviously, it's their community, it's their stadium, so they're taking the lead on what's going to happen. They'll tell us what it is, and we'll fall in line like we should.
Rocky, there wasn't any conversation from the conference level that maybe the game should not be played?
I don't think so. I mean, if there was any conversation about it, they didn't ask my opinion, or they didn't ask me. So I don't think there was any consideration whatsoever not having the game or not playing it there.
Switching gears a little bit, with what happened Saturday, kind of, I saw your how you talked after the game. Have you changed your coaching style just a little bit since, how much have you changed your coaching style to adjust to the new new age player, I guess.
I don't think I have. We play music at practice. That's different than I used to do it. I don't think we coach them any different than we have in the past. We coach them exactly the same. I think you're able to recruit players that fit into your philosophy, and the longer you're at a place, the more they fit in because they find out how it is, and they don't come here if their philosophy doesn't fit yours. So I don't think we've changed at all how we coach them.
And the players seem to, I mean, old school kind of, your kind of, run the football, play defense kind of thing. Why have the players been so accepting of that and just kind of, we'll go toe to toe with you kind of thing?
I believe that they came here because of that. I mean, we've been in that philosophy in, I don't know what is, how long now? 10 years? 9? It seems like a long time. 9 or 10 years it's been the philosophy around here, so every kid in our program knows what he's getting into, so obviously he likes that way to play football, and he wants to be part of it.
You did an interview the other night after the game, and then you said, I guess we're getting pretty good now because even when we win games, all people want to talk about is the things that we did wrong. And I'm just curious, a couple days later now, where you sit on that statement in terms of what that really does mean for your program, because I guess the expectations really have grown.
Well, I thought going into the season the expectations were out of sight considering how young and immature our football team is. And obviously when you win a few games, the expectation level increases because you're only as good as your last game. And as many people that want to see you successful, there's just as many and probably a whole lot more that want to see you fall. So any kind of negative vibe that they can develop, people use to develop negative vibes to try to hurt your chance of being successful. I think that's the way it is in athletics. I think there's more people that don't want to see you win than there are people that want to see you win.
How close are you guys to being, the best you can be based upon your expectations coming into the season?
We're not even close to how I think we can be. We're not playing very well right now. I mean, people don't think I'm lying, but I'm not lying. We're not playing very good right now. We're playing just like a young football team plays. We make a lot of mistakes, but the players have a great spirit. They play really, really hard. They think they're going to win, and somehow they're finding a way to win. Now, that's a pretty good situation. I think we're going to get better. I mean, we obviously got to get better. Injuries are starting to hurt us a little bit now. It hurt us last week in the offensive line as we got younger instead of older. So if the injury bug doesn't hit us hard, our team will continue to get better. Win or lose, we're going to continue to get better.
Of course, you also lost Michael Holder to the targeting disqualification. Was that, in terms of what happened from your end, was that something that was outright intentional, or was he just in the wrong place?
Oh, it wasn't intentional whatsoever. He was making a play. He was blocking for a guy that was carrying the ball. Was it the right call? Probably. In this day and age with the rules the way they are, it was probably the right call. 5 or 6 years ago, everybody had been celebrating what a great block it was. So obviously you have to play within the rules, but it wasn't intentional whatsoever. In fact, it was very, very close to being a legal block.
Speaking to that, in coaching that, how do you, you obviously want your guys to go 100%, but how do you kind of coach that? Because that was, was a great block. But,
They have to learn from experience. They watch TV too. They watch a lot of games on TV. They see what's called as targeting. They see what is not called as targeting. They know the rules, and I don't think he intentionally tried to target the guy. In fact, his shoulder hit him in the chest. The first initial contact was legal, and then his helmet happened to bump into the other guy's helmet, and all of a sudden it's targeting, and you're out of the game. It's tough to play football the way they're making them play football now. It really is. They're trying to make it touch. Well, guess what? The game is not touch.
It's also not reaching thought their coach did the right thing personally. I just want to get some of your thoughts. I mean, in terms of disciplining his player and just how that whole situation, Rashad accepting the apology and moving on, and just kind of how this whole thing has developed.
I think it was handled the right way, and I think it's in the past.
What would you have done if the situation was reversed?
I don't speculate on what I would have done because I wasn't in that situation.
You think you're going to see more? It seemed like Northern Illinois a couple times, unless I counted wrong, it looks like 8, 9 in the box. Had you been getting that and you were successful, or did just kind of, you think you're going to see more of that?
We didn't see anything different than we've seen all year. The difference was we had 3 redshirt freshman offensive linemen and a true freshman offensive lineman starting. And a junior, the other junior that was starting, broke his finger early in the game. That's the situation. Not that they're doing anything different on defense than everybody else did. Now they were a little more aggressive, a little stronger up there and more aggressive than people we've played before. So you got to give them credit too.
And how about your freshmen like Tariq and Dom and those guys, a couple of local guys that just really, kind of stepped up? I mean, obviously you recruited them because you want them to, be here, but did you expect that so quickly?
No, we didn't expect that. You don't expect any freshmen to play. It's unusual when redshirt freshmen play.
Rocky, can you talk about their freshman quarterback that you see, and then also about Lexington Thomas, the big back?
The back they have will remind you of some backs we've had around here. He's not real big, but he's real quick, and he makes you miss, and then he can outrun you. And he's having a great season. The quarterback, who is a redshirt freshman, is one that has unlimited potential and is playing better and better as the season goes along. He's big. He's 6'4", 6'5". He's 225 pounds. He's got a rocket for an arm, and he really likes to carry the football, and he runs over people. It's way too early to tell, but he's like some of those other guys that are now playing in the NFL that were like that in college. That's what he looks like. It's way too early to say he's going to develop into that kind of player, but right now he shows unbelievable potential. And from the first game to now, he has gotten so much better. And I assume that he'll continue to get better too.
Coach Hart said the offense never really got in sync last week. What do you think they need to do to adjust to find that this week?
We have to execute better. I mean, we've got a couple of really good running backs. If they don't have a real good day, it's probably not because of them. I mean, everybody wants to make a big deal out of our running backs when they gain a whole bunch of yards. Well, how about making a big deal out of the guys that were blocking for them? Because you see what happens when the guys don't block very well for them. You see what happens. I mean, but we celebrate the running back, and the guys that ought to be celebrated are the guys up front. Because when a really good running back doesn't have a good day, it's usually not because he's not feeling good.
Why is your offensive line been so good, especially the last 2 years?
Well, the last 2 years, they've been veteran guys that have played a lot of football. This year, they're very inconsistent because they're young guys and don't have any experience.
Which of the young guys up front has made the biggest jump week 1 to where you are today?
I don't know. It's hit and miss. It's one play or the next play. One play they'll do really, really good, and the next play they don't do very well. They're very inconsistent. There's not one that has played better than the others.
Coach, you're always looking for consistency from your players. A lot of people might say Rashad Penny, the most consistent. Would you say there's a couple guys maybe that are unheralded that have been like the most consistent performers for you this year?
On offense, Christian Chapman. I think that he got a rep last year of being a game manager, whatever the hell that means. And this year he's a top-notch quarterback, and he's not getting the credit he deserves. Not only is he playing better as far as throwing it and making yards on his own, he's also getting us in the right play most every single time. He's getting us in the right protection and the right blocking scheme almost every time. Okay? And anytime an offense has success, normally they have a pretty good quarterback.
How has he been able to limit his turnovers since he's only had 1 interception and now 4 weeks straight without?
Experience. If it looks like it's a tough throw, he doesn't throw it. Now, he runs with it a little bit more. He gets hit a little bit more. But he doesn't try to force a ball in there. Now, late in the game, if we need it, he'll probably try to force some in there if we need to play. But as long as we're in the lead or where it's a close game, he's not going to take the chance of turning it over.
Rocky, he does not go to the ground. Is it scary sometimes?
No,
Why?
because that's a competitor. I really dislike when quarterbacks slide. I mean, when you start scrambling with the ball, you're a ball carrier. Okay? And when you slide, I don't think you, even though it's becoming acceptable now, and the more it happens, pretty soon we won't have any quarterbacks that actually run with the ball anymore. Every single one of them will slide, or they're going to be wearing vests that have sensors on them, so quarterbacks only get touched. Everybody else gets tackled, but quarterbacks get touched. And so when the lights start flashing, that means the quarterback's down. I think quarterbacks are football players. They are so protected in the pocket now that once they get outside the pocket, they ought to be football players. They shouldn't be baseball players sliding into second.
That's the second time you referenced kind of how football's really become, as you put it, touch football. Just your thoughts on the change in the game, I guess.
I think it's just the tip of the iceberg. I think it's going to go more and more spread, and I think it's going to be fun for fans. Now you're getting a guy that's a football coach that grew up in a different era now. I think the way the game's going is much more fun for the fans. I mean, there's a lot of one-on-one situations. There's a lot of great athletes jumping for the ball and getting the ball, and there's a lot of running backs out in one-on-one situations that make the poor defensive back look really silly because he falls on his face and doesn't even touch the guy. I think it's great for fan support. That doesn't an old-time football player. It's not great.
So you're not a fan of the new age football?
I'm a fan of football, totally. So I'll learn to live with the other.
Were you a fan of your secondary as a whole Saturday night? I mean, they did give up some big plays, but they also got 3 interceptions and ran one back. I mean, they made some big plays themselves, but I know you probably didn't like them giving up those big plays.
No, I think since we're talking about the way football's going, I think that's common. I think anytime you're putting DBs in a one-on-one situation with receivers that are great athletes, and some of them are big, and the quarterbacks are throwing it a lot better than they did 10 years ago, where they can put the ball in a position where the receiver has more right to it than the defensive back, that stuff's going to happen. And you just have to learn to live with it. You have to make enough big plays to overcome the big plays you give up. I mean, I see it on TV every single day. You know, they run it down there, they throw it to the receiver. If the DB bumps into him, it's interference. The DB has to be better at playing the ball than the receiver does. And then the receivers have gotten so skilled, and they're so much bigger now, they're so skilled that they just out-jump you, or they can lean on you and push on you, and quarterbacks are so good at throwing it behind the back shoulder and all that kind of stuff, it makes it almost impossible to play one-on-one coverage, unless you're hitting the quarterback. Oh, I forgot, you can't hit the quarterback. Unless you're putting pressure on the quarterback.